don't need to see your face. It's gross.
All right.
Yeah, I agree.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood discussion. I will start. I think this is the most Quentin Tarantino movie that has ever been made. I think everything about it is just very Quentin. And I do not have one single complaint about the entire movie. I would give it a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, 100%. I think the acting was great. I think the music was great. I think the plot was great. One of my favorite final scenes ever. I cannot wait to go see it again just for the final scene. By the way, we're going to have spoilers in this.
Okay.
Best performance by a dog. I think that's up there. That and the dog from Marley and Me, probably top 2. But yeah, I really liked it. I think Leo did great. I loved seeing him and Brad Pitt on screen together. The top 3 actors were great. The supporting roles were great. Al Pacino was hardly in it, but his scenes were really good, I thought. The little Bruce Dern scene was funny. In the little Steve McQueen nod, and then the Bruce Lee was both pretty funny too. So yeah, just some highlights, just an overview. We can start talking about our favorite parts of the movie or our least favorite.
Yeah, a lot of least favorite.
Do you want to go,
Jesus
Max, or do you want me to
Christ.
go?
You go, Nolan.
Okay. So it's interesting that you started out by saying that this was the most Quentin Tarantino, in quotes, movie you've ever seen. I kind of felt like and not the very, very end, because obviously the end is him going insane. Everything up until the very end felt very not Quentin Tarantino to me.
Even with the dialogue and the music.
Yes,
and
here's
I don't
here's
agree
the thing
with that
too.
at all.
Here's the thing. For as much talking as there normally is in a Quentin Tarantino movie, there's a lot of shots in this movie and a lot of stuff that happens where it's just people driving or people walking or people. There's a lot of scenes that are no dialogue.
I thought those were perfect.
And there's a lot it felt very tame for him, in my opinion. And this is correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know. This is the first time I think that he's made a movie in quotes based on a true story, or it's they're real people, kind of. Or am I wrong?
Getting Glorious Black.
Yeah, I guess that would be
Or the main people are real people.
Yeah,
they're not out of his head.
Because I don't know about the other two.
Because
Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth aren't real.
Yeah, well, yeah. The main. So because to me it felt like it was. He's very good at making movies that when the audience is watching it, you can be like, this is a movie. He knows it's a movie and he doesn't care because he's doing whatever he wants.
But you didn't think the little
it felt a little
movie scenes with Rick Dalton were
it felt a little more grounded to me. I don't know.
Even with the nighttime LA aesthetic. I don't know. I love those.
No, I'm doing
Dude, Nolan's getting roasted.
Thank you.
Just why didn't you like the movie?
That's me at Nolan's door right
now. It's not even been made yet. The schedule has not even made.
You didn't like it?
You're about to be in the
Ray over there.
So say hello. All right, well then I'll talk to you after this.
Nolan, leave Foot Locker, bro.
I'm thinking about it, dude. I might as well.
Why are you still there?
Yeah, it felt, I don't know, the movie just felt very it just didn't feel and maybe it's because I expected it to feel like all of his other movies, but to me it didn't feel like
I see what you kind of mean there, but I don't feel like there was a lot of potential for it to be violent until the end.
And I understand. And a lot of it is it's not the movie's fault.
Are you talking about the story more so?
Yeah, it's not because he did something different. It's more of me going in and I was like, oh, it's Quentin Tarantino, here we go. And then it was it's still good. I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. There's scenes that are awesome. But it just felt a little, to me, until the very, very end, obviously, it felt a little bit more tame and down.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Max?
It felt so it definitely felt like a Quentin Tarantino written film. It didn't feel so much like a Quentin Tarantino directed film most of the time. There's even a scene where he's going up to where he's visiting the ranch where they used to film the Bounty Law.
The Spawn Ranch, yeah.
Yeah, where it reminded me of like, okay, this is like True Detective-esque. I was like, did you get that vibe at all?
I could see that. That scene scared the shit out of me.
I haven't
I didn't
seen
know what
that,
he was
so.
gonna find.
And then I was kind of like, I was expecting more. I think my point is I wanted to get going. Like, I was waiting for the point where I was like, okay, this is where it's going to start to pick up. Not that I was bored or anything with it. I was having a good time because it's a very well-rounded film.
But when does Pulp Fiction pick up? Like,
well,
I just feel like
Pulp Fiction in a long time.
Okay, yeah. I feel like that's very Tarantino about a bunch of events just happening, and then at the end, them all colliding.
Well, what Pulp Fiction has right off the bat is intensity. This does not have intensity. You have violence and intensity all throughout Pulp Fiction. That is what's the grab to it. And the best part of this movie is the intense violence scene in the end. The Helter Skelter scene. That was just incredible. This one's like I would agree with Nolan where it is tame, where it's
for him
the thread of events going on. It's a good character piece for Rick Dalton. I mean, everything's well rounded. There's like every single scene plays into what the character, like when he's talking about Easy Breezy, the cowboy who's useless, and it's like, oh, he's basically talking about himself. It's what could be just a nothing scene, but it's playing back into him. It's very well rounded script. I'd say it's a great script, but I was just waiting for the point where I was like, okay, let's go. I think it's because I was like, okay, now this is where it's gonna start picking up, and then it kind of did, and I was like, okay, now we wait for it to that, because we all knew it was gonna get to that Helter Skelter scene. I think I think maybe it's on me for waiting for that scene, because I was like, okay, what is he gonna do with that? But I think after that I was like, okay, because I thought Brad Pitt was gonna get killed at that point. I thought I was waiting for.
I did too.
Okay,
I thought he was either gonna be the bad guy. Like there were a couple of scenes where I'm like, I could see Brad Pitt, like, I don't know, because everyone was saying there were like twists, so I was kind of thinking Brad Pitt could kind of turn on him or something, just because Brad Pitt had those little subtle, like, did he kill his wife? Like, guys don't like him.
That didn't really go anywhere in the end, kind of.
Yeah, but that's what I love about Tarantino, because like that's just like a little like ripple of the character.
Yeah,
like,
it's funny.
It's not like you don't know what happened. Like, it's just like, it's whatever.
I understand a lot of things that he did, but to me, you said you wanted to, this to me doesn't feel like a big, like I could go back in and rewatch it and enjoy it more the second time. I don't know, because it's like not that much really.
I could not disagree more with
not
like,
that much really.
It was a
happened.
3-hour movie, and I felt like it went by so quickly.
Really?
For me,
it felt
like
long.
It felt long. Game felt so much longer than that, in my opinion.
Ooh.
There's a lot a lot kind of in the middle. I honestly don't remember a lot.
Really? See, I remember. I think every scene felt like it had a point, and I enjoyed every scene.
I agree with that. It's very well rounded, and each piece all plays into the puzzle in the end. Like, but it had me wondering, what is this really leading to, other than, because the whole Charles Manson thing, okay, so you have your Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, Sharon Tate's watching a movie for 10 minutes in this entire movie. She's just sitting in the theater watching a movie, and that goes on for literally like 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, so you have all these kind of different plot threads. When are they going to intertwine? And of course they do at the very end, but it felt like up until that point, it felt like you still had those 3 separate streams. And I was like, okay, I need them to kind of come together more. And it didn't really feel like that. Even though what should have happened to Sharon Tate happened to Rick Dalton and Cliff, even at the end, it felt like, okay, but they really didn't intertwine as much. It in a way, you can say, yeah, Rick got what he needed to maybe potentially meet Roman Polanski, which is probably what's going to happen in the end when he goes over to Sharon Tate's place. But I felt like it never really intertwined as much as, and I think the problem was, I think a lot of people hyped it up like, oh, this is going to be about Charles Manson. And it really wasn't.
It's just about Rick and Cliff.
Yeah.
I'd say,
it's once again, it's one of those problems where these people hype things up on the internet and interpret things wrong. And
I was glad it wasn't about Charles Manson, in all honesty. Like, I really enjoyed the Rick and Cliff characters and like their dynamic, and like I liked when they went off into like Rick's career a little bit to kind of show
Yeah.
like what he had done. And like, I mean, you could see like like they were channeling like there were actors that you could see like the Rick Dalton, you know, kind of treatment getting like
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of cool how it went through his career. I see what you're saying a little bit by them not like intertwining, but then again, I just feel like Pulp Fiction, like they're not really intertwined until the end when they like meet in the diner almost. Like I guess Marcellus Wallace kind of intertwines them a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, see, I don't know because that was like I really liked the closing scene, but I really liked kind of everything that led up to it. Like I enjoyed every scene, and every scene had some form of like enjoyment in it, whether it was comedy or suspense or action. Like I just feel like every scene kind of had a point to it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I agree with that. Let me see if this makes any sense. I wasn't necessarily bored with it, but I felt its length. And,
Okay.
I mean, when it like okay, so you have Sharon Tate in the movie theater for like 8 minutes, and then you have Cliff at the ranch, and then you have Leo doing his own thing on set. It just felt like it was kind of, I don't know. And Pulp Fiction does do that, you know. It does go back and forth, but I think in a way that the fact that this was like more tame, and you're just watching people do like
just be people,
be people.
See, that's what I love though, because Tarantino is like an everyday. That's what he's known for, is like showing everyday type things, and that's why I feel like this is such a Tarantino film, because it was everyday conversation, like everyday tasks.
It's everyday things, but elevated, and it never felt
that's what I was gonna say. In his other movies, it feels he's very, very good at two people sitting down at a table and talking, but what I said earlier, it always feels like a movie, and I don't mind that, because he knows that two people sitting just talking is boring, but he takes it like a little bit further every time he does that. So some of the things that they're saying are ridiculous, or some of the things that like happen are just their movie moments. They're kind of like ridiculous, and that's what keeps you entertained. And he is a very good writer, but like for two people to sit down like in this movie, and it's just they're just talking, and there's not really anything like going on that is like because he crosses the line all the time in his other movies, and this one until the very end felt like he was just on the other side of the line, like just stayed in front of it.
And it'll end with a bang too. The scene always ends with a bang.
Yeah.
Like there's the instance where Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta are in the car with the guy in the back seat, and then they're talking, and then bam, he shoots his fucking head off. This felt like like that Brad Pitt scene where it's really creepy. Like that had the potential to end with a bang, but it didn't. It kind of went like
he beat the shit out of that guy.
The George. Not George.
No, he beat the shit out of the.
He's talking about
get his tire. Like I feel like that was a bang. I don't know.
No, not to the George. Not to the George setup.
That was right after it, wasn't
it? Is there even really a George?
After, because then he talks to George for like 3 minutes and then walks back outside and his tires flat.
I thought he was trying to trick them into saying, "Oh, I knew this guy George. He once lived there. Oh, do you know him?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah,
That's what I thought.
Like, I didn't know. We had no prior knowledge of a character named George. I didn't know where they were going to go with that."
See, I only knew about that just because like that guy was real, and he actually gave the Manson family his ranch. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was actually the character that Burt Reynolds is going to play, until he died. Yeah. But yeah. I really like the Bruce Lee scene. I really liked.
That was awesome. That was amazing.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of like really good scenes, but there's just a few where like because some of them the payoff is great. Like at the end of this, because Tarantino is really good at telling you like a little short story, and then the payoff being there, and then we change to another short story, and at the end, all the short stories come together to
form a film.
This to me felt like okay, there's a little like short story. Here's another little short story, and like. I guess at the end of Pulp Fiction, the difference is like everything that happens matters at like the very end.
Intertwined. Yeah.
And this, it's all intertwined. It makes sense. But like some of the scenes don't need to happen to get to where we are at the end. In Pulp Fiction, everything needs to happen to get to where you are at the very end. Like some of these scenes, I feel like, you don't, okay, we watched her sit in the movie theater. Like, what does that have to, like some of the scenes didn't need to be there for the end to happen. Yeah, like there's
too.
there's a few, which I like the end. The third act is like what I thought the entire movie was going to be. There's like the voiceover, everything starts picking up, everything moves like a little bit faster.
Once it
But
starts
up
doing the
until then,
times.
yeah,
that was
like that was all. That's what I thought the whole movie was going to be. Like it was very snappy, it just felt like it was moving like at a pace that I feel like a Tarantino film normally moves.
Yeah.
And the first like 2 acts, I was just kind of waiting for stuff to happen. And a few things do, and there's some fun payoff, but like for the most part, things just kind of happen, and then another thing happens, and then another thing happens, and then another thing happens.
feel
But it's
like
not like important.
It's impossible to hate the movie. Like I loved it. I feel like most people will like it, but like say like maybe you guys like I'll go rewatch it again. Like I'm gonna go see it tomorrow. But like I feel like you guys like you could still find enjoyment from it. You know how like they'll like release clips on YouTube, like a 10-minute clip or something.
Oh
like
my
there's
God,
some
yeah,
really good.
There will be scenes that I rewatch that I think
Yeah.
are hilarious.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some really just like good little I could see if you were expecting like a cohesive narrative
You get that.
that all intertwined, like you may be like a little let down, I guess, just since like
It's cohesive.
not
It's cohesive.
but
just
as
like,
Nolan's saying, as everything
It's cohesive, but it's different than like it all. There's a difference between a movie like being it being like this way cohesive and being this way like cohesive. Like it's building, it's building, it's building and building, and there's the end. This is kind of like it goes like this, and then there's the last scene. It's like way up top. Like it makes sense in if you all are. It's like in a line. I'm not confused by the movie at all, but it never really built like Max said earlier. It was just like in a line, and then there's the end, and the end is insane and it's awesome. But the rest of it is just kind of
to
just
me
going.
that's what makes Quentin so good is he makes these little long drawn out scenes that go from one to another, and like they never specifically connect, but they're just enjoyable for the audience to watch. And I feel like that this movie was so much of that.
Well, take The Hateful Eight, for instance. There's lots of that where it's like the whole fucking movie is 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all in one setting, which was brutal. Yeah.
But it's a long talking film. And I think I like The Hateful Eight more than I like this movie because there's that.
I'm going to kill you, Max.
There's that that intrigue there in the movie. Like, okay.
But that has like one cohesive point.
It's all leading to something.
There's a point, yeah.
Yeah, the movie is leading to something. In my mind, this was me thinking it's going to lead to something because it's like, well, it's got to get to the Helter Skelter point. It wasn't like, oh, there's going to be a murder sometime soon. You know what I mean? Like, I was waiting for the Helter Skelter scene. In Hateful Eight, we were waiting to find out who did it or what was going on.
Yeah, like, I mean, maybe you lose some suspense if it's a true story, but, like, what's he going to do? Like, not – like, I mean, that's
I think he did a good job changing it up.
Yeah, no, he did. He did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. It went by quick for me, I thought. Just because I liked each scene because I liked the character development. Like I enjoyed that. Like I enjoyed getting to know Rick. I enjoyed getting to know Cliff. There's no way The Hateful Eight. Like, dude, the soundtrack to this is better. The setting to this was amazing. Like the outfit.
Suicide Squad has a better soundtrack than Prisoners, and I'm not going to Suicide Squad.
That's true. That's true.
But
no,
okay, the setting was really good. Like the set design.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you guys were expecting from this movie.
Well,
I think you think I hate it more than I.
No, I don't hate it
because you've complained. You said you didn't like.
It's on par with Captain Marvel, dude. I love it.
Jesus Christ!
I loved it.
No. No.
Honestly, I didn't think it was a perfect movie. I just felt its length, whereas in other Quentin Tarantino movies, I don't. Hateful Eight, which is I think longer than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I thought was better because I was more intrigued with what was going on. And this is a good character piece I think Brad Pitt stole the show for me.
He was good.
He was great.
Do you think Leo stole the show?
I think the little things with Leo, like the stutter that he did constantly and the emotion that he did with that character was great. Because I texted my dad right after, and like Brad Pitt's never won an Oscar. I think this was his best performance yet. I think Brad Pitt's gonna hit like a renaissance here, where he does some because I mean, he's finally out of that. For so long, people viewed him as like a pretty boy. You know what I mean? And I feel like he's finally
I could see
out of
that.
that. I think he did really, really good in this. And
I think he stole the show.
I will
He's
say
great.
when they went to the other storylines, I was thinking like I want to go back to Cliff, and because that
See, that's
was
what
one
I
of
was
my favorite
thinking,
scenes is when he goes
Yeah.
home. He lives behind like a drive-in. You know, he's got fucking Brandy, like feeding her and everything, just watching his like TV show. I love the Cliff scenes, and yeah, I agree. Brad Pitt. I don't know if he controlled the scenes, but he was definitely a really good supporting actor.
Yeah. See, Brad Pitt feeding his dog, I thought was more interesting than Leonardo DiCaprio's. And it's weird though, because Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Rick Dalton, has more of the central focus with. Like,
yeah, for sure. Cliff's definitely the supporting. Like, I'm interested to see. Well, because I could see them. I don't know. I could see neither one of them.
I don't think
I
either
could
of
see
them.
neither one of them getting nominations just because neither one really took a lead role or took a supporting role. Like we saw that with The Departed. Like Leo was great in The Departed. Like didn't get an Oscar nomination because they said it was, and Matt Damon. Neither one got one just because they said it was split. So like I could see something like that. I don't know. I think they both did a great job.
Yeah, they both did a great job.
They were the best parts, probably. Yeah, but the thing is too, because he switches it up at the end and doesn't, because he has to trick the audience. And the only way that he can trick them is if he puts these other scenes in with like Sharon Tate and the other people, and then he like obviously switches it up at the end. And those were like the parts that I just wasn't really interested in, but they need to be in there in order for him to trick you, which is why I don't think it's as good on rewatch, because you know that they don't really matter.
So you didn't like the end? Is that what you're saying?
No. I like the end, but in order for the end, because on first viewing, obviously he's trying to trick, because everybody thinks that Sharon Tate's going to get murdered, because that's what happens in real life. So for him to like kill like the other, for him to switch the ending, you still have to have Sharon Tate in there so that people think that's where it's going. And if you know that that's not going to happen at the end, then those scenes like don't really have any weight when you watch it again.
Yeah,
because they don't really matter. That's why
I don't know. I felt like the transitions were pretty smooth to her just because she was like his neighbor, and they connected it through that way. Like I don't like they were just like randomly switching to a random person named Sharon Tate.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can we talk about the time jump though?
Yeah,
like,
the 6 months later.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that was
abrupt.
It probably didn't need to be in. Yeah.
It was like, okay, 6 months later, this all happened, and then now we're gonna do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think Quentin loves building his little world, and he loved building that. Like Rick was in these spaghetti westerns, like directed by Sergio, whatever. I think that's just part of Quentin, like building his characters.
Yeah.
Because like that kind of added to Rick a little bit. You know, like he got a wife, and him and Cliff, like. I mean, that night, like the ending of the movie was supposed to be their last night ever being together. And then it ends up like Rick finally acknowledges how good of a friend Cliff is to him. And like, they're probably going to continue being friends. So I feel like it kind of had that weight to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of hard to talk about like why. Because it's not that it's bad. It's just there's some scenes that I don't know.
Bad at all.
No, it's not. I think it's good. It's hard when you're comparing it to his other movies, I guess. I don't know. When you expect, because it's a lot of it is like our fault or my fault, I would say. Like if you go into that and I'm expecting something totally different and then he does something that I didn't think he was going to do, then that can be viewed as like me. It might be a letdown, but it's really not. I just was expecting something else.
It reminded me a lot of Pulp Fiction. Sharon Tate was, you know, the Mia Wallace, like all that, like John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, like the bromance of them just driving in the car. Like it reminded me a lot of that. And I actually really like the car scenes. I like the camera angle he used in it. I felt like you really felt like you were like there, the way he did it. I don't know how he filmed those scenes in downtown LA, because that was all I was reading. That was all like real visuals, so he had to have just shut down streets for like weeks at a time. I don't know how he was able to do that, like rebuild sets and everything. So I thought that was pretty impressive. Brandy was fucking great.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what you think about the movie, if you're going into the movie and someone's like, hey, at the end of the movie, Brad Pitt's pit bull bites the eyes out of someone, Brad Pitt is high on acid and beats a girl's head in with a phone, and then Leonardo DiCaprio torches a girl shooting a gun in the air in the pool with a flamethrower. Like, people would be like, what the fuck?
That scene was awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, when he started smoking the acid cigarette and they started walking up the street, I was like, fuck, this is going to be crazy.
Well, I thought they were going to
I thought Rick was going to fucking get like murked when he goes outside and is screaming at them with the margarita in his hand. I'm like, this dude's going to fucking shoot him.
That was funny.
Yeah. That guy that plays Tex is the guy they just casted as Elvis. And I think he did a pretty good job in that. Yeah, and that was like one of his first roles, so I think he was good in that. Yeah, she took off in the car.
Yeah,
like,
she was in there for 5 seconds.
Season 3.
I am like so hyped for the director's cut of this though, because James Marsden plays I just mentioned him. Who's the guy that just died? Burt Reynolds. James Marsden has a couple scenes as Burt Reynolds. Tim Roth was in it. I think Harvey Keitel played someone in it. Like, so there's going to be, I mean, I think the studio really made Quentin like, yeah, bro. I want to watch a fucking 6-hour version of this movie. How about that, Matt? I hope none of the scenes have points.
I understand why you like this movie. It's the Captain Marvel of Quentin Tarantino.
Jesus Christ.
I just prefer heavily violent Quentin Tarantino.
I agree.
That's just what I prefer. And
yeah, I guess if you prefer that, but I don't know.
That does not make this a bad movie.
No, and dude, your anxiety had to be through the roof at the end when you had no idea what was going to happen.
Oh,
at the end it is. Yeah.
That's what I was expecting. But what I got in return was amazing. That scene was great. That was definitely the best part, and that's probably the one that will stick with me the most. But I think the fact that was just so amazing that my memory was like, okay, get rid of all this other stuff, make more room for this scene. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I guess your guys' complaint is just about like the story he chose before he made the movie. Cause there can't be like violent scenes before that in scene, you know, unless like Rick Dalton or Cliff is just like a murderer. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, technically, what's his face is.
Yeah, Cliff fucking
technically.
So, well, imagine a lifeline, you know? You get boop, boop, you know what I mean? Boop, and it's flat.
That's
you know
just kind of what it
Someone
felt
gets
like.
that.
That's what I was trying to say
It
earlier.
goes
Is
flat,
it like
and
it goes?
you know what I mean? It was that inconsistency that kind of was like, because it was like there were scenes where I was like super into it.
So it's just like the story.
Yeah. I think it was how flat the story was at times.
Yeah, I'll say that.
Just
how tame and how flat.
Margot Robbie sit in a theater for 10 minutes.
Okay. By the way, this my one complaint. Could Quentin make his foot fetish like any more obvious? There were like 4 different fucking
the foot on the mirror in the theater.
Yes, the foot in the movie theater, and like there were a lot of close-ups of feet. Like
that was funny.
Was liking that. He was a big fan.
More feet.
By the way, he did not help his case at all about not having like hardly any black people in his movies, because I'm not sure there was one black person in this movie.
Yeah, see, I hate this movie because it's racist and sexist.
He just
leaves.
Did you just leave, Max?
No.
Oh, it looked like you left.
You
right
know
after you said that. Your picture disappeared.
We're gonna have to clip that.
Yeah, we'll send that to you.
Okay, but that was like what the fucking feminist shit that like Margaret Robbie wasn't in the movie.
What did that?
That was great. Yeah, that was crazy.
That made no sense.
That was funny.
Like, he has so many characters in his movies. Like, no one's ever really a main character, but I felt like she was almost in it as much as Brad Pitt and Leo. Like, she had a pretty good amount of scenes.
That's like someone going up to be like, why wasn't Scoot McNairy in this movie more? And so that one scene he was just shot and killed. It's like, but him being in that role isn't bad. It's like, yeah, maybe not be the focus of the movie or anything, but just because.
Why wasn't Bruce Dern in this more?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, more George Spahn. Yeah,
I sat with the stopwatch. Why wasn't he in longer than 2 minutes? Like, that's just. Yeah, and I thought about that. I was like, what was her point other than to like?
Yeah, just trying to trigger him. That's really what it is.
Dude, I don't know. I laughed a lot. There was some
great.
Shit.
It was funny. Yeah.
When they're just in the car in the highway, and she's like, "You want me to suck your cock while you drive?" And he's like, "How old are you?" He's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah. There were. I don't see stuff like that. I'm just like, that's so Tarantino.
Yeah, the fact that you're bringing it up, though, I completely forgot about that scene, though. And
I did too. I not even thought about it.
Yeah.
The three that I think of the most are like the very end, obviously.
The ranch.
That scene was great. Which again, it was so good, and then it just was like, whatever at the end. But I don't know. There were just so many scenes that like
the Playboy party. I liked.
Yeah.
The Bruce Lee.
I was like, okay, what's the point other than explaining this relationship that's kind of like, it's like the real stuff that was really going on, but I feel like he didn't really need to explain it.
He had to throw Steve McQueen in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like that was just a reason to throw in Steve McQueen.
But
fuck yeah, I like it, dude. It's the golden age of Hollywood. Like, throw as many fucking people in there as you can.
They should have just had Steve McQueen, just Bigfoot in the background or something like that.
I like that line where he's like, she likes 12-year-old man-child looking kids, and then he's like, I never stood a chance.
Oh yeah, that was.
But like, I just love the little shit like Rick auditioned for the part in The Great Escape, and like they didn't like him, and like just little stuff like that. Like, I feel like we know Rick so well, like his career so well. And that kind of at the end meant so much to him that Sharon Tate knew who he was and like thought he was cool. Like that was like a big deal to him. I don't think it was that. I don't think it was about him wanting to meet Roman. I think it was more about like people knowing, like, okay, you're Rick Dalton.
Because there's that scene in the trailer where he's like, "How are people gonna know it's me?" And the guy's like, "Well, they're not supposed to."
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's not kind of what it was building up to, at least, because I thought he said something along the lines of, he said something earlier about meeting Roman Polanski or trying to, because he didn't know that they were neighbors or something like that. So I thought
he said it was the first time he'd ever seen him, and he's just like,
that was a little touch at the end, but I don't know if I get that much of the feel other than she's just inviting him in because he almost got murdered.
That's what I kind of thought too.
Yeah.
What would you score it, Max?
What?
What would you score it?
I'm gonna put it on par with Captain Marvel.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
What is it? What did you give that out of 5?
4 out of 5.
4. Okay.
Great.
I would probably do 4 too.
I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. Easy.
Oh wait, so
easy. It was the easiest decision I ever made.
Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you quote me on that? It is the Captain Marvel of Quentin Tarantino movie.
That's so stupid. It's it's the Dark Knight of Quentin Tarantino movies, meaning it's the best.
Okay, can you tell me how much Captain Marvel made at the box office, please?
I don't know.
It's worldwide where you're at it too.
It made a lot, actually. It made a lot.
Yeah. Money that no Quentin Tarantino movie will ever see in life.
Max, I'm gonna release your text where you're mad that Shang-Chi or whatever, you're mad I got a release date because you hate the eastern side of the globe. You didn't like it because Bruce Lee was in it. Exactly.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, there it is. Clip
Max
it.
is so racist. It's tough.
Yeah,
Max, the first hour of the movie is like, God, no minorities. And then Bruce Lee got in it, and Max was like, fuck.
AKA, who loves this movie?
Oh man.
Yeah. So do you guys think Quentin's gonna do another one? He said if this gets good enough ratings and like awards, he's not.
Well, then
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. as cool as a Star Trek movie would be with him, is if his last movie is a Star Trek movie trying to like
I'd be
do a
disappointed.
franchise, I would not like that at all.
Yeah.
If you gave him like, hey, make a space movie that's like Star Trek but make it in your own world, like that would be super cool. But he can't be confined by a franchise.
No. There'll be too many like people telling him what to do, and that will not work
Yeah.
out. He'll end up quitting or like
fucking like kill himself.
Exactly.
He'd
He'll
freak
go crazy
out,
on
dude.
somebody.
He's
He needs the
insane.
portal scene, you know.
I can't imagine
He
somebody
ends like
telling him
anything.
what to put in his movies.
Can you imagine if Max's portal scene, if in his next movie, like it's like this crazy movie and his
Django
main
walks
characters are in trouble, and like,
Django.
like teleports, like Rick Dalton, Django, Aldo Rain,
Yeah.
Oh man.
Samuel L. Jackson, Jules,
What was his name? Brandy.
Brandy the dog.
Brandy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandy's Doctor Strange with his paws.
Can I
Jeez.
just say real quick? I've never done acid and I've never been stabbed, but I can't imagine being stabbed on acid. I don't know what that would feel like. Because he just kind of looks.
I don't know.
Would it be better
Yeah,
or worse? Like
I don't know.
he just looked down. He was like, "Oh man." But I kept forgetting throughout that scene that he was on acid. Like they're taking him out, and he's like, "Away we go." I was like, "Oh shit, he's fucked."
Yeah, it just fucks him up.
Yeah. But yeah, we can just end this saying that we all agree it's a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, it's a Captain Marvel.